I mean, it's funny. I was thinking about like when I was driving over here, even though I couldn't place like when we'd seen each other, like I remember our voice notes a lot.
Yeah.
And there's so many voice notes that you've sent me, especially when we first put out the show. And there were just things you said that actually not only really helped me, but kind of like sat with me and changed how I was thinking about things. And, like allowed me to move forward in certain ways, like I think, getting your perspective on making stuff while also trying to have it be an offering and something that is an offering of love. I feel like there are so few people that I could talk to about that in a really expansive, nuanced way. And then even putting aside like what felt like a few people, I felt like some of those first big conversations I had with you, which, I don't even know if I said that to you before, like straight on, but I remember those a lot. I remember a lot of conversations that we've had. More than you would realize, like how much I remember them.
SubhanAllah. It's amazing like how much artists just really need each other.
Yeah.
And artists and scholars artists and sheikhs need each other too. You know what I mean? That there's just like certain things that happen in our hearts and in our lives that only another artist is going to understand.
Yeah.
There are artists that have been here longer than me.
Yeah.
And that's not nothing. Like that matters, but they have a certain experience.
Yeah.
But then also, and then there are artists that are a little bit closer to the beginning of the journey than I am. But like we are the same. We're just in different places, and we're coming from different perspectives and things like that. But man, we absolutely need each other.
I mean, it's also time logged is a huge thing, right? Because it's like everything is really relative to era and the waves that come before you. So it's like I feel like art is part action, part reaction, right? So anything that's fresh or new is still a reaction to what came before it, which was also fresh and new. So and then there's the part where you are a genuine actor, like kind of proactively putting in your new piece of it and kind of trying to lead it with a sincere energy and a genuine passion. And so even if art looks different from generation to generation, that like active part of like bearing yourself and bringing it forward, you have so much to learn from anyone who's been around longer, right? Because it's like that, again, it's like, even if you're, again, it's like, and this is, I think, even more prevalent in music than I think in film, but like in music, it's like, oh yeah, this is the new hot thing, right? And it's like, well, sure, but it's like, it gets to be that in relation to what was before it, right? Which, and that link has always been so clear to me. And so I just think that part of you that's acting from burying yourself and from, putting it all out there, and anyone who's done that knows, not just how vulnerable it feels, but it's like draining, and it's, and there's a lot that comes with it where, getting to connect with people who've been doing it is essential, I think.
Yeah. And then those people, if they're still alive, you know what I'm saying? There's like something very alive about the moment of like, wow, my heart is still experiencing things. And I don't know if those things are welcome in the world the way that I might want to say it. Like if I explain this exactly as it's happening, exactly as I'm experiencing it, I don't know if that's welcome in the world yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like Johnny Cash was having those moments all the way up to the end. You know what I mean? And like real great artists, they're still experiencing that. Like I was just hearing Rick Rubin talk about like recording those last Johnny Cash records.
Yeah.
And and he was just like, man, he didn't like the way his voice sounded. Like he didn't want to do it anymore.
Johnny didn't.
Yeah, because he's used to being like, oh, I'm gonna tone, like, but like he couldn't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And he's like, he didn't think that he still had something. So it was still terrifying, even for one of the baddest dudes of all time, to be like, well, now I sound like I hurt myself today.
And then we're all like, that's the best you've sounded.
And we're just like, man, the producer of this podcast, BK1, he's the one that put me on to like white music, dope white music. I didn't know dope white music. So I met him and I went to his crib He's like this white guy who's in college radio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know why I know all this black stuff.
Yes.
But I went to his crib and he just had all this like jazz music and funk music and all these like black revolutionary books in the Midwest. And I was like, I know why I need to know this. Why do you know this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we talked about all this music, and then he started showing me like really dope white music.
So cool.
Fugazi and all this stuff. So we're driving down the street. he was my DJ for 10 years. So we're driving one time, just me and him, and he's playing this new Johnny Cash record, and especially on that song in particular. And I look over and tears are just running down his face. And it's Rick Rubin. So I just said, "You're crazy for this one, Rick." And he had to pull the car over and we just laughed, man. But it's like, man, even somebody like that, even if you've had years of like, yeah, people accepted it in 1970 and people accepted it in 1980, but in 2010 or whatever that was, for him to say, my heart is feeling new things and my voice sounds, still a new, like I'm still a new person. And like, I don't know if this is welcome in the world or not. You know what I mean? To still have to be able to bear yourself like that.
Yeah.
And so like, even those artists that have been doing it for a long time, if they're still active, then when they meet somebody even that's been doing it less time, it's still like, yeah, so like, what's happening?
What are you nervous about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, how are you figuring this out? How are you exploring and then sharing? And
yeah.
So in a way, it's like, it is ageless.
It is, but it's like, I think it's also, I think it's ageless if the verb of how you do it is similar, because I do think there is this thing that anyone I've really connected with who's a great artist, they are seeking that nervousness, and they're seeking kind of that type of, you know, the difficulty that gives you the pressure that gives you a diamond, you know, and they don't stop doing that. And it's almost like what's great about them is that they just get better at enduring how gut wrenching it is. Yeah. And then there's the other part of it where, you know, art invariably, you know, becomes a business. And then it's like, no, actually what I'm looking for is plug and play, where it's like, I'm just, you know, I found what works. Boom, let's do it again. Yeah. Boom, let's do it again. Let's print these things. You know, I'm building a business, right? And I really just relate with the first pocket more. And I think anytime you're hanging out with artists who are just continuing to seek that thing regardless of what they've accomplished, like it's that you know, it's like that Sufi saying on our path of like having the memory of a goldfish, right? Where it's just, yeah, I did what? It doesn't even, but now, what about now? You know, and it's like, so someone could sit and like the greatest artists, like their resumes almost, they forget it. They don't even know. They're just like, what? No, but right now, but this could suck.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm really nervous. Like, what's going to happen right now? You know, that's my favorite.